Bam. All right. Just so you know, I am going to record this because we aren't getting into anything that's too bad. And this way you guys can catch back up. So these guys are all members of the class. So if it's a regular class, like in Murphy's, he's the teacher here, or he has maybe another teacher here, and these would all be the students. He would have the ability to mute students, manage them. This is where you can add members, get rid of kids, add kids, things like that, other people you want in here. So this is, I got here by clicking the ... next to the name of it. And I just went to manage team, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so that way you can get to this part where you see, and that's the way we can see who all has access to that, right? Since it's maybe something you're just a member of. So let me go back to general channel and go back to files. So again, all of those people in here have access to this file. All of those people in there can add other things into this folder and create other folders, right? So you guys all, it's democratized. You're working as a team. Teams implies maybe a flat level. Sometimes you have a team leader, again, teacher, but as a team, you guys all share responsibility and trust in that you can work on things together for a purpose, right? And that's where Microsoft kind of has this, because it's not just for education. They use it across all levels of enterprise, all levels. It's probably one of the largest educational and enterprise level programs in the past 5 years to hit, the world. Because you can do so much with it. Again, you guys are using the Meet feature where you can do the video conferencing. That's only one of the features that Teams can do, right? And that's inside of here. So if I do a Meet, I can record the meeting and it would show up in the posts down here if I wanted to record it for access later on. If we have to check and see what a process is, somebody's just new to this process. Okay, so what has gone on? So you have the ability to go back and get yourself up to speed without somebody taking over and everything. So that would be your files section that's in there. You guys are using it for student log, which is fantastic. Class notebook is a OneNote. This one's not set up, but if you're familiar with OneNote, it's a 5-subject notebook that is as many subjects and as many pages and as big of a page as you want that you can use. Envision like a class textbook sort of concept. So it's a pretty fantastic resource that you can have in there.
It's really good too, because you can go in and check the students' work as well, the students who are in there, without necessarily having to click on their tab. There's like a place at the top where you can go in and just type in and find assignments or quizzes and grade real quick.
Exactly. And it's neat too, because it's more than just them writing on it, because it is interactive and most of the kids have the touch screens where they can write in it, as opposed to like Google resources have no touch features and writing ability. This, you can write in it and annotate things. You can put a PDF in here. People are always wondering, well, how do I edit a PDF, if I assign it? Well, in the real world, it's very difficult. But in the OneNote world, you put a PDF in it and you write on top of it, right? And you just answer it. It's a piece of paper that's just on a computer. So it's really an awesome tool. They stopped promoting it a little bit, but it was a real differentiator in education. And then they just kind of moved on to Teams and it just built into there. And there's still a lot of it, but it kind of gets overlooked a lot, but it's so powerful. Like a class like Missy's with music, you can actually record into the page. You can embed YouTube videos onto the page. PDF.
You can put sways in. It's cool. It's awesome.
It's amazing in its own right. And the fact that it's part of a team, it's a virtual textbook, right? If I were doing this, it's an interactive digital textbook where I can have video clips like what Murphy does with all the videos and stuff. You can embed them into here, and each page that you create could be a new unit. And it could be as long of a page as you want, as wide as you want. And then you can break it all in sections of units, with the pages being the lessons within that unit. And the kids can always reference it back. It's an awesome tool. It's a lesson in itself.
There's also a collaboration space in there too, where they can collaborate together on stuff.
Yeah, it's a lesson in itself. So maybe that's something we throw out there on another Friday, really to dive into that. Yeah, it's fun. So assignments, in this case, we're not doing any assignments here. But if you haven't, you have to get started with it, and then that just enables the assignments feature.
Go to mine, Patrick.
Yours? Okay. Let me do that in just a second. Actually, yeah, let me do it in a second so we can kind of look at this real quick.
For sure.
But we'll jump over there in a minute. Grades, since we don't have assignments, there's no grades. Again, these are your links. Again, I love the tabs at the top because if I were teaching again, or honestly in any enterprise, we're using it actually for the professional development plan. We throw tabs up here, they're quick links. So if I want to add a tab, so I go here to files, I'm coming back to that student log, right? If I click the circle in front of it, everybody see this up here? If I click the circle in front of it, it changes. So now I can still open it. I can make this a tab is one of the options, okay? Or I can pin it to the top, but I'm gonna make it a tab. Bam, now it's up here. And it is a quicker resource and it automatically opens up. And dang it, yeah, that's me being able to go through that. And then I just click on one of the other options that I want to get back out of it, right? There it goes. So if I want quick access to something, I'll put it up in a tab. Maybe, again, teaching, that is my daily assignment. Really, I'm force feeding the kids, go to the tabs. Across the top, you're gonna see a video tab, you're gonna see an assignment tab, or a resource tab, and then you're gonna see a tab that I want you all to collaborate on. It's a Word document that you can all, like that Excel spreadsheet that I put there, that's something you guys can all collaborate on at the same time right there. So I want you guys all to have input, or I want you to put different things in different places. I'm gonna have sections for each of you guys to add and contribute. Different ways to do that. I mean, that's really when it comes up to the instructional process and what you're looking for your outcome to be. But it's force feeding them. Go through the tabs. And then tomorrow, what you do is you just remove that tab, right? So I put student log up there. See that drop down? Bam, remove it. So now this tab is gone. It's not up there anymore, but the file is still there. So if I use a file structure over here where it's folders and each folder is a different unit, and I put those in tabs up across the top daily, those are still inside of here for kids to reference down the road. Oh, we got a test. Yeah, look over unit 1 resources. And I can go through all the different things we all worked on, and it's all sitting right there. Again, there's a lot of trust in that because if you put things in there that are new or that are working ahead, kids can go in there and work ahead. But you also can see if there's a kid being a kid and goes in and changes things or puts the wrong answers in there, you can always go back and do a different version of it. You can go back to the good version of it and restore that and see who made that change if you have to have any kind of disciplinary action. But as soon as they know that's there, they're not going to do it. And there's a lot of trust involved in a team. So that's where you kind of build this before you get to it. Yeah.
When I went into the virtual study hall and Julie said she added that tab, that the pink one that says virtual study hall,
Okay.
I clicked on that just to see what it was.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take me anywhere. Is that not up and going yet, or?
Well, see, I'm not sure how see, I didn't create that one, so I'm not sure. See, how do you want you to join your team's meeting? Oh, yeah. So by clicking on this, I can say I want to continue in this browser. I can open it in the Teams app or a Windows app, which is the program that we're on right now. So say I want to continue on your Teams app. Let's see what it says. So I clicked on it. It might not work because I'm doing a Zoom of this, and sometimes it doesn't like doing two different things at the same time.
Tammy and I found that out yesterday.
Yeah,
We had
that's
to-
right.
we had to-
Like my morning one.
Each time we log in, there's a different way to join the meeting.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
a
and you
Zoom
guys
log.
in your emails, the way I like it best is the calendar. Because say I don't think I deleted them out of this week yet. Maybe I did. Because I got so many of them, I just kind of removed it from mine. But in your calendar, this is your calendar. Kids don't see it. What you can do is you can it'll have your appointment, and you click on it, it'll have the link. It'll take you right there. So that's how I usually get to it, is from my Outlook calendar. So cool.
Yeah,
And
'cause
then if you
sometimes
want to
we'll
make,
get-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
sometimes we'll get that screen, download it or use the app, those 3 choices.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll just get a blue box and click on it and says join. Phyllis thinks she figured out yesterday that if one of us is already in there, that's when we get the blue box that says
Right.
join. But if there's no one in there, then we have to relaunch the meeting first.
Yeah, that probably would be because you probably need the host in there
Yeah.
or somebody that has that ability.
So yesterday, Tammy, I was the host. That's why I said there was no blue box to enter. So I actually had to create one.
Yeah.
And then that made me the host. And then you guys just entered off of the blue box.
That's probably what it needs, yeah.
And then every time we try to share a screen, because Julie's had us in there practicing all week. You'll learn how to use the thing before we have kids in there. But if we try to open a share tray, most of the time it closes out the meeting. And we're not sure yet if that's, again, because if you're the only person in there, when you minimize it, it just shuts down.
Yeah.
But if there's someone else in there with you, you can minimize it and work on something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of those processes you got to kind of figure out because it probably will change a little bit. And hello to Kelly. You joined in. Sorry it took so long for me to realize that somebody was in the waiting room. We get rolling and we just don't stop. It's like a train. So, but no, Teams is awesome. So I'm glad you joined in. So yeah, so when you're doing those meetings, again, it depends sometimes who's in there and who's not and how it starts and things of that. So, all right,
Well,
so
it
let me,
makes sense, Tammy, because if you're trying to share it with somebody and there's nobody in there to share, you'd basically be sharing it with yourself.
exactly. Yep.
That's why it's bumping you out.
Yeah, probably. No reason to share if nobody else is there. So cool. So again, posts, the files, the class notebook, assignments, grades, those are your links. So in the plus, again, I'm a tab lover. So I click the plus and these are all the tabs I can add up here. So Word document, where is it? Excel, PowerPoint, those can be added, but to add those, they have to be in the files section. So if I want to add a Word document, it's going to say, you don't have any Word documents in here, so I can't add a tab. As soon as you have a Word document in here, then you can add that from here. But you can add other things. So say I want to have a website. Where's my web? Boom, there it is. So what I want to do is call it, here's our, I put a tab name. I'm going to call it Flipgrid. And then down here, it's www. Oh, hopefully it's going to come. See if it likes it. Might need to, yeah, see, it's not a valid one because what it needs is the HTTP:// and let's see if that gets it. Maybe not, I don't know. Usually what I do is just go to a website and copy it. So hang on a second. Let's do that. That's my normal way because I'm not really good with typing in those www sometimes. And it's because it doesn't have a www. That's why. So it's smarter than we are.
It's easy just to copy and paste. It's
That's
way
exactly.
easier.
Yeah,
And
which is
in-
what I didn't do.
Like with Flipgrid, you don't even have to do, they have an
Yeah,
app there for Flipgrid instead of a website.
See, come on. Let me on here.
So anyways,
I'll
with
go
the-
this way real quick.
yeah,
That's what we see. So I go to save, boom, here it is. So this is the website of Flipgrid, right? So let me get rid of that because just like Angie said, bam, if I come to the plus and like she said, I can either scroll. These are all the different things I can add.
you
Or
pass
just-
that Flipgrid.
Yeah, Flipgrid, bam, there it
There
is. And then once you do it, it's going to say, oh, you want to add the Flipgrid app in here? Yes. So I add it and I don't want to post to the channel about it. I can add a code or a URL, create an account, educator login. As soon as I put a URL in here, what it's going to do is open that Flipgrid URL right in that tab. So you're just, again, force feeding the kids where you want them to go in
And-
Flipgrid.
When you do it that way too, you have to go up and you have to rename it. But you can also add Flipgrid. If you go to the Flipgrid site and you're using it, you can also add it into your Teams automatically without having to go into Teams and add it,
Yeah.
which is really cool. And you can do it. You can also add it as an assignment in Teams
There's a-
from the Flipgrid site.
The partnerships that they have, that Microsoft has with what they do across the educational world is amazing because they work with Flipgrid to get those enablements across platforms. So when you're in Flipgrid, boom, make this an assignment in Teams. And it knows that because you logged in and it's like a single sign-on between the two sort of concepts. So it's really kind of cool. You'll see a lot of that. Same as Google has those same kind of correlations too. They all work kind of together. So, but yeah, these are the most recent ones. Stream, forms, you can add a form in there if you want a quiz. So, hey, your assignment today is go to do the form and take the quiz. Boom, there you go. Lots of different things you can do in here.
You can also add a calendar for the students. I just saw that last night and figured it out.
Heard that.
I'm so on this.
Yes, you can add a calendar for the students, which is like due dates for stuff. So where you have the assignments and the assignment dates, you can just have a calendar of things coming up. So talk to Angie on that one. She'll probably dig into that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff. So that is a class, like a team real quick. If you want to add more channels, because this is a channel, right? The general channel, you go to the dot, 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 and you say add channel. And what that is, you can name it and you say, I'm just going to call it junk. I don't want it to show in everybody's list. I just add it and it's a standard so everyone has access. I could make it private where it's just me and a student or a couple students or whatever, a couple teachers. I don't want to add it to everybody's channel. I just say add, and now it is right there. So there's a junk channel. Think of channels as ad hoc groups or subgroups in a class, but each one of these channels has their own posts, has their own files, and has their own notes
You're not sharing
and their
now?
own tabs. Do what?
You're telling us it's right there, but you're not on screen share.
Oh, not a screen share. What the heck? Yeah, Teams dropped on me, so I had to add it back in. I'm sorry. Thank you for saying that. There we go. So let me show you how I did that again. Bam. Let me get rid of this. Delete this channel. All right. So what I did is in here, virtual study hall, there's the general channel. Again, it's got all the stuff that's across the top. I go to the dot, 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 and I say add channel. Okay. And again, calling it junk. Okay. It can be standard where everybody has access to it, or I can make it private where only the people I tell can have access to that, right? Do I want it to show in everyone's? No, not in this case, but it can't because I already did junk. So let's do junk one, add. So now it's adding junk one over here. And again, this is ad hoc group. This is subgroup. This is something that, you know, I want to have a small group working on something. They have their own posts so they can have their own conversations in here. They have their own files so they can share resources and work together on something. I can put stuff in here for them to use as a small group. I have the notes. Again, it's a OneNote just for this area, right? So if I'm teaching, let me, I'm going to jump out of this one real quick and I'll show you an example one. Let me delete this channel because I don't want to mess up the study hall. This is what I used last year. If I still have it in here. Give me a second. That's a high school demo class. What's this one? I think it's this one. There we go. So on this one, I have the general tab, right? All the stuff up here. I've got a lot of test prep, a lot of, you know, conversations. I can put GIFs in there and all that fun stuff. But then I also have teams. I have a blue team, green team, red team, yellow team, and it's locked, which means it's private. Only certain people can get into that. And I pre-assign the people who are in those teams. Because when I taught third grade, man, I loved having groups, small groups. And they worked together and they had sub teams within the big team, kind of like a football team. You have your offensive line, your defensive line, you have your safeties. You can break people up, but they come together as a whole team in the general, right? But then I also have my subjects in here. So again, as a third grade teacher, here's all my language arts assignments. I don't have a separate team for language arts. Here, it's just a channel. You go to the language arts channel, and there's all my assignments for language arts, math, science, social studies. Here's all my spelling lists for the year, things we can work on with spelling. Again, general is general. That's where our assignments are, our grades, notifications for everything, right? But then I jump down and I go, all right, so today go to the, posts and then homework in language arts. Boom, here we go. And that's where I have a Flipgrid up here and other tabs where, again, we open something up in here. So we're in language arts and we jump over and here it is in Spanish because I had to, translate some of it, and then I didn't for the rest. It's little things like that we can work with. I can open in an app if I need to, but again, we have pen tools. We can edit if we need to. We can review, insert, different things we can do in here. Just whatever we need to do, right? So it's kind of cool stuff, and it's here for everybody. You can read it. You can do what you need to with it, because that's the basis upon our Flipgrid. So now we come to the Flipgrid. It comes in, showing Microsoft. This is our reading response, right? Showing Microsoft. Well, we all have a Microsoft account and we're here. So we click on it. Oh God, I have to add my password. Hopefully this is the right password. It's because I'm jumping around so much. There we go. Awesome. So there's my reading response, thing. And we can do that as we go. It's already built in. They didn't leave Teams. They're just here. Then again, I go to math and there's assignments there. Here's a quiz. things like that. So it's nice to do as a classroom because you're keeping them all in one spot. Again, as an elementary classroom, that's where Courtney in the fifth and fourth grade is awesome because she does the same kind of stuff in fourth grade because she's self-contained. But you can have everybody in that team and you can subgroup them out into different classes. So maybe blue team, if I'm teaching language arts to the whole fourth grade, well, this is so-and-so's class, so-and-so's class, so-and-so's class. And they go to their section. They don't see the other ones. They just go to theirs, but they'll see some of the other stuff that I have in there as a whole class. So little things like that. All right, we're getting close to the long in the tooth. So let me throw one more thing out there, files, because just so you know, we don't have to be proprietary just to Microsoft in here. These are like my files. Kids don't see these, right? My OneDrive, okay? Those are my recents. I have OneDrive, I have Dropbox, I also have Google Drive, right? So I can get to my Google resources in here and use those to upload also. So as our students are still in Google, here you go. Microsoft doesn't care what you use. You can use Dropbox, OneDrive, Google, whatever. And then from here, I can make this available for the class. Students have the ability to add the cloud storage in there so that if you want them to upload something from their Google Drive, they created a Google Forms, which no offense, Google Forms is fantastic. Say they created a Google form, well, boom, add it into there. You know, upload it into wherever you need it to be. We're not being proprietary or Microsoft-ish, we're, you know, or Apple-ish really, where you don't like anything else except for Apple. You know, this can use whatever, right? And even in Google, you can kind of use whatever in a sense, because if you have stuff syncing down, you can upload from it. But this is a little bit more in your face and right here and just here. And like I said, you also have the ability to make calls. So if we have the licensing for you guys, which we don't, but corporate does, you can actually make calls through Teams. So the same way you use Text Now for, again, licensing and calling plans, you can make calls from Teams.
Some kids last year, sixth graders, figured that out and they were calling each other.
Yes. So right here, it's internal. That's why these guys are all here. But if you have the plan and everything, you actually get a dial pad right here and you can actually make calls to the real world. And this can be like instead of Text Now. That was kind of this is kind of the direction we were heading before the world went crazy. And then we had to offload into Text Now and a couple other things. And then we had to reboot with our Mitel phone system for a couple more years just because the time came up and we just didn't have time to strategize it out. So we're still on Mitel with our phone system for a couple more years. But theoretically, when the next iteration goes around, instead of renewing with Mitel, you just put the money into your licenses, get the full license, and you have Teams. And then you have Teams phones. So the phones in your room would be able to integrate in with the Teams on your computer. And then your phone. And when somebody calls you and you call somebody, you can call them from your Teams number because you have a dedicated number that you can port over, your same number. So Murphy can have the same number that's in his room now tied to his Teams, which can be cross-platform across wherever he's at. God help us, right? But that's one of the things where I say that enterprise is going that way because a lot of places you're probably seeing GoToMeeting is starting to do those services as well. Look at Kelly's got somebody with her. Awesome. So yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's growing, it's not going away, but it's also one of those things. If you had to ask me right now and hold a gun to my head for school, which one would I use, Teams or Classroom? I would say Classroom's easier to use, right? It's simpler. You saw it in the last demo. You only have the stream, you have the classwork, and you have the people. So you kind of focus everything down and keep it a lot more simple if you want it to be simple. If you want something to be very communicative, where you're working in a team and you need resources shared out and you want to be a little more dynamic, that's what Teams is built on. And this is something that will translate to college because all these kids are going to use this in college. And when they get a job at AT&T, Edward Jones, St. Louis Blues, anywhere like
It's
that,
international.
they
Anywhere.
all use Teams and 365. It's just what they do. It's all built in. And it integrates with all the Salesforce and it integrates with the smart sheets and everything that project managers use. So it's a nice tool when you're looking at growing. The fact that it's used in the elementary is pretty cool. But I think Classroom's probably more appropriate sometimes for elementary because it's simpler. And sometimes when you want to stay simple, it helps to stay simple. Teams is not simple, but if you want to keep it slow and keep it small and not make it complex, it can be really usable, and a great tool, if that makes sense. So, all right, I did enough talking. We still have a couple minutes. What questions you guys have, or comments, or stuffs?
I got one that I should know, and I just don't. Go to one of my classes.
Yeah. Which one do you want me to go to?
It doesn't matter. Pick one of the physical science classes. There, that
Honors
one.
or regular?
Doesn't matter.
I'll just do 6-hour physical science. I
Okay,
think I've
fine.
done this one before.
All right. I want to send out some information just to some members of the team. Now, I've never had to do this before. I'm sure it's quite simple. I really don't want to go to the trouble to make a bunch of private channels because I don't think I'll use that much. Would you use tags? You just
Yeah.
tag?
So you're trying to communicate with them? So
I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to send them out, a Word document to certain ones of the team, and that's all.
So right here
I'm
where
just trying to do
your
it.
messages are, I've
Yeah.
used this with a lot of other people. What you do is just do an @ and start typing the person's name, and it will send a notification to that person, and
Right.
it'll send them a bing, right? An email, something like that, and let them know that you just communicated something with them.
Okay, is there any way to send them all out at the same time? Just
Multiple-
at
Yep, multiple @s. If you want it to go to the entire team, you would say @team
right.
down
All
there.
right, so that's how you send it out. I didn't know if you could tag them
Yep.
individually, a group
Yep.
of them. And
Totally, just say @so-and-so, @so-and-so,
Right.
@so-and-so, and
Okay,
it'll
that's
pop it
what I
up
thought.
when you start doing it. And then they will get an alert for it. Now, I believe it's not private, but I'm not positive because I haven't seen it on the other end of that. It might be private conversation when you do that.
I've sent stuff through just the chat on the left side to, like, if I had one person that I wanted to
Yes.
send something to, I'd send there. But you can also make a group in that chat as well by where you go to create a chat over to the right there, and you can type in their name and the people you want, and then you can also put links in there as well.
Because this is the same, it's like your phone messages.
But that one's
Very
that
private.
one
This one's private.
individually it's private.
Yeah.
Whereas on the team post it's public.
It is public. You're just pulling people to it then. Okay. That's what I wasn't sure, because every time I do it
But
as a owner,
anybody,
I see everything.
anybody not in the group that I emailed it to, they could get into it too?
In this one, say I
Yeah.
tagged people in the posts area of the class, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, everybody, here it is, but hey, you 3 people specifically, here it is. Like, I'm pulling you into it. Whereas if you're using the chat, this one is just to those 3 people. Just like on your phone, when you chat with me, it's
Right.
just you and I. It's not shareable to anybody else.
Right.
Can't see it.
Except
This
for the
one,
3 that I stick in there.
This is like Facebook when I tag somebody.
All
Everybody
right.
can see it, but I'm tagging somebody.
All right, that's what I was going to do, but I didn't know if you could actually, if anybody else could see it. It's not that big a deal. I just wanted to collaborate without others seeing it. So I would need to chat then.
Or
Correct.
if you want collaboration without others, seriously, go to the private room and add those 3 into it. And then it's just those 3 in there and they're collaborating on documents together. Nobody's messing it up. That's an easy thing to do because it's just a ... Yeah, I
Right.
can't. I'm not-
Yeah, and add a link.
well, no, just go to the ... add a channel and make it
I'm
a
in a
private
channel.
channel.
I'm in a channel.
Yeah, and then just add those 3 kids in there when you do it, and they will see it. Nobody else will. And so you just like say you have like a differentiated group, you need to work ahead. But here you guys go. I'm going to put you on a different assignment because you guys already mastered this unit. Jump in here and explore this next concept of that unit. Right? Nobody else knows that those kids are differentiated up or down, but those guys have their own safe space where they can work. And maybe
Okay.
even has an SSD teacher in there too, if it's differentiated down or differently for them, not down. And then that teacher has access to it without anybody really knowing that they're pulled out.
The other thing about the chat on the side too, since it's private, I tell the kids if they have a question and they don't want other people to see, that's where they send me their information or their question. And I've got a lot of sixth graders. That's how they contact me instead of sending me emails. They'll send me a chat really fast and I can respond real quick back because there's a little pop-up window that shows up on my screen. And then I can also, I have it downloaded on my phone too. So like if I'm, if I'm sitting out on my deck and like last night, actually, it was about 9 o'clock last night, a little sixth grader, she sent me a little chat and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to respond to it till tomorrow, but it popped up on my phone, even though I was off my laptop and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's the
You would have to just go to chat there and
Yeah.
I would enter it in there. All right. And I see it down at the bottom. Then you could attach something to those
Oh yeah.
3 people
Yep.
Yes.
Kinds of stuff.
down there. All right. Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Mhm.
All right.
All
Any
right.
other questions about Teams?
Hey, I do. For the team meetings, did you add in the rights for attendance?
Say again.
So remember I sent you an email
Oh,
because
yeah. It wasn't
Teams-
available yet. It's one that you have to PowerShell in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not generally available yet. It's like you can force it available. So it's not there yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So as soon as it becomes generally available, I'll add it. But
Okay.
remind me if you, because you're on the boards with those guys. If you hear
Yeah.
it before I do, shoot it my way and just say, hey, it's ready now, sort of thing.
Okay.
Those team meets are just like Zooms, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You're just zooming in Teams is all that
The
means.
nice thing about using Teams for meetings instead of Google or Zoom is it's a point-to-point email or a video conference. So, I mean, honestly, we're using Zoom, right? It's what everybody in the world's using right now. But a lot of these lagging issues that you're getting in Zoom, honestly, are not there in Teams because you're not going through all the different process points that Zoom is using. It's a point-to-point. So quality would be better if we use Teams. It's just one of those things where, there's different things going on and everybody in the world jumped into Zoom. So you kind of stick with the standard when you're in survival mode and try not to do anything different. But if you were in like the real world, you're talking to, and it's secure because it's very encrypted. Like if it's you and me and we're both in 365, it's encrypted the whole way. So, Ivan from Russia can't hack it.
So all we do is just go into the little Zoom icon, which isn't a Zoom icon, and just put an invite, right?
Sort of, yeah. What I usually do is I do it from Calendar. That's my favorite place to do like a quick meeting. And I
Right.
just hit meet now. And then when I hit meet now, I don't know if it'll let me because I'm on Zoom. But say I join now. Let's see, it kicked me out last time I tried it. There we go. So that's me. I am in this meeting right now on Teams. I don't have a camera because I'm using it right now. But over here, if you're on Teams right now, and I typed your name in, you would get a pop-up on your computer that says, Patrick wants to meet with you on Teams. Click here to join. Bam, there you go. And this is what I was kind of talking about with our, about the study hall hours, is theoretically, if a kid goes into their calendar and does a meet now, they could start typing your name in, and instead of you guys sitting in the meeting all day, as long as you have Teams on, if they start typing your name in, bam, you get an alert, you join in then. You know what I mean? So it's another option for the study hall concept. But yeah, and then it's the same kind of resources, more actions that are in here, device settings in case you don't have audio or whatever, meeting notes if you want, live captions, those are options and it translates those two. And then meeting recording and meeting for
Wait a
everybody.
minute, you can translate those to different languages?
That's what translate means. No, I'm just
Yeah.
joking. Yes. Yeah, no, you can. So if you turn on captions, so I turned on captions and now you'll probably see it. Yeah, there it is. See how it's showing up down there? I can, is it device settings? No. You can change the language and I just have to remember how to do it now. That's something we can talk about. But yeah, that's how you can translate between, how you have meetings, again, corporate world, USA and Japan. You can turn captions on and allow it to translate for the people that are in Japan. So you're talking, they're reading it in Japanese.
Wow. Cool.
Well, can if you have time, Patrick, I got a couple of ELL students,
Yep.
and I was actually thinking about using this because of all the lag time I'm getting from the kids.
Yeah, this
So
would
I don't have to
be,
do- If you got time, can you
Yeah.
pop on over here? I'm at
uh,
school. If
yeah,
you
I
have
got a little
time,
bit of
I
time.
know how busy you are. What?
No, I got a little bit of time. My next thing's not till like 2, so I'm good.
All right.
I'll swing by there in a minute.
All right.
But yeah, Teams has that little better ability than Zoom, just because it is point to point and it processes the videos differently. But it is also bad too. I mean, as you see on the right side of your screen, there's only like 5 of us here, but you have a limitation on how many people you can see at once, which isn't a bad thing. Again, that helps with the fatigue of the eyes. But I think you can only have, I want to say they increased it to 20 different little images.
Well, 20 would cover our classes.
Yeah, I think
Easily.
that's what it is. It's either 9 or 20. It was 9, maybe they're increasing it to 20, something like that. But it is limited on how many you can see at one time.
Okay, so I have a question that we've been talking about throughout this week.
Yeah.
Where 2 of us are hanging out in study hall all day long, waiting for a student to come in. So say a kid comes in there and says, hey, I need help with Mr. Murphy's science page. How do we access that to see what it is I need help with?
He would have to share it with you. So
Yeah.
again, in Teams, you guys all have the share abilities. Even though I created it, everybody can share. So again, it's based on trust and it's based on like a flat hierarchy. So the same way you can share in Teams meetings, the students can. So what they would do is they would either share it or they could put that file into the files folder in the team, maybe, and then you have access to it also. But I don't think they can do that because they're not a member of that team. They're just joining you in the meeting, aren't they?
Right, and if
Yeah.
a lot of the teachers are using Google Classroom instead of Teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
as
Trouble
far as
figuring
they
out
do-
how a kid's gonna bring homework to us and we're gonna help
I
them.
gotcha. Well, then they would just open up the browser and open up their Google thing and share it and then talk through it with you.
Right.
Right?
What if they had an assignment in Teams though? Could they share it with Tammy?
So they would be able to share their desktop and then open Teams and open the assignment. So yes, as long as they shared their desktop, they would be able to show you what they needed.
Can you show us that? Go back to one of my classes because you're in it and share it with Tammy. Can you do
Okay,
that?
Well, see, I'm in Zoom.
Oh, okay. All
I know.
right.
Again, I'm trying to use the status quo, right?
Right. Okay. All right.
But yes,
But if,
what
you
you
were
do
in,
is-
but if you were in Teams, you could.
well, in the same way, honestly, that I'm in Zoom and I'm sharing my desktop, say this is Google Drive, right? Or a Google Doc. You're seeing Teams right now, but it could be just a Google Doc. I'm sharing Teams. So if the kid shares their Google Doc, you'll be able to see it. If that makes sense. It's the same concept. You're just sharing the screen.
So you mean if we're in study hall and the child shares his Google document on the screen, then we can see that,
You can see it. You can't edit it because you're just seeing it.
right?
Make comments and he can edit on it right then. You can
Okay,
say, hey, does that sound good? Read it out loud to me. And then he reads it out loud and go, oh no. And then you say, well, how would you correct it? And he would start typing. You wouldn't be able to type it for him, but you can make those suggestions and then, validate his responses.
okay. I think that's what Tammy and I were mostly concerned about because we don't have access to a lot of the kids that could come into the study hall and
Yeah.
say, hey, can you help me with this assignment? Well, if we don't have access to that teacher's,
Yeah.
classroom, then we're kind of stuck. But if they can share that document with us,
Oh
then
yeah. And then it's like you're over their shoulder watching it with them. Yeah.
right.
Now,
Okay.
if you need to edit it with them and it's a Google resource, they can share that resource with you. Say they want you to actually make comments on the document.
Mhm.
They would have to share that Google Doc with you off screen, right? Not live. And then you would work on it then. You could kind of work on it at the same time, but your screens aren't that big and it might get kind of annoying, if that makes sense. But theoretically, you could. If you had a big screen or a dual screen, you could be zooming on one screen while you had the Google Doc on the other screen. And if they shared it with you, you could be live editing with them, or like a Word document or any of those things that are interactive shared live. You could work with them on the one side while you're talking to them over here, if that makes sense.
And I guess if worst case scenario, we could always email that teacher too and say, hey, I'm in study hall with one of your students.
Correct.
Can you give me, access to the assignment?
Well, let me see something real quick. They used to have this real quick, and then I think they got rid of it. So I'm going to see if it's still here. I know we're running a little bit long. Shoot, I don't think I have anything in this one. It was language arts. There we go. And then I have the Velveteen Rabbit. This is one thing that they did have, and I don't know if it's still there. It doesn't look like they do anymore. In the web version of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, they used to have the ability to have a face-to-face meeting in the top right corner also. So you're not necessarily in Teams meeting with them anymore. They share the Word document with you. You get it, and then they can actually embed that here. Let me click the Meet and see if that is going to do it now too. No, it's not. Okay. So they had it and then they got rid of it. And I think they got rid of it because of the privacy or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But it was there for like a hot minute. It looks like they got rid of it.
Okay.
But it used to have the ability to do like collaboration. Maybe that's the public version and not the education version. I can't remember for sure.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that's like there also in the real world. So cool. Any other questions? Kelly, you got any questions? Or are you just over here to stay out of the other ones? Oh, you're muted. Oop, I see you talking, but you're mute. Hang on.
I forgot.
There we go. Oh, I heard somebody.
I think I'm doing fine so far.
I think you're doing fine too. You guys are all rocking it out. So cool. All right. Anything else you guys need before I break up? Because I know I've taken you 10 minutes past.
That's all right. Whenever you can come, Patrick, that's great.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll be over there in a couple minutes.
All right.
Cool.
All right. See you.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining, and I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording because I did record for a little bit, I think.
It said you were.